Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to do a quick review of The Doll Factory by Elizabeth McNeil. I've literally just finished this book right now and I was like, I have to do a quick little review while I have time and tell you what I think. So The Doll Factory, I picked this up end of October for my birthday and I picked it up from Waterstones. I've heard absolutely nothing about this book, I just saw it on the shelf, I loved the cover. It's this red-headed girl in a bell jar with you know, a mouse and some feathers and that kind of a thing, and it was called The Doll Factory and I thought it sounded really interesting. So the back says, an intoxicating story about a young woman who aspires to be an artist and a man whose obsession may destroy her world forever. This book, like I said in my last video, has very quickly become my favourite book of this year. I love the way it's written, I like the characters, it's surprisingly creepy and it's just very, very well done. So yeah, this book kind of came out of nowhere for me. It was kind of a little surprise. I like the characters. So there's three kind of main characters in this book. There's the main character Iris, who works in a doll factory along with her identical twin sister, and she hates working there. She's never liked working there. She dreams of escaping, and she does manage to escape with the help of a man called Louis, and he becomes her love interest, and she yeah, leaves the doll factory to become a model for him. And this was kind of like a little bit of a thing back then, because this is set in Victorian London. It's set in does it say what year it's set in? 1850. So it's set in Victorian London, and yeah, so she leaves to become his model and then to also train to become an artist, and you know, her life kind of picks up and everything's going for her. And then the second character this follows is a man called Silas, who is a taxidermist, who meets her randomly by chance. It's just a one-off, you know, kind of bumping into each other, and he becomes absolutely obsessed with her. Now, I actually quite liked Silas in the beginning of the book. He came across as quite a lonely man, a little bit awkward, but you know, he's quite a quiet guy. He owns his own taxidermist shop, which he built up himself, and you know, he sells specimens to the artists so that they can draw them in their paintings. And I quite liked him to begin with, but then as the book goes on and on and on, he becomes very unreliable. He's an unreliable narrator in his side of the story, and you just get the sense that something's not quite right, and it gets kind of creepier and creepier and more disturbing as the book goes on. And then one of the third kind of character it follows in this book is a boy called Albie, who I really, really like. He's my favourite in this book, and he works for both, he collects specimens for Silas, and he doesn't really like Silas as a person, and he also does some sewing for Iris, and he really likes her. And he's quite wary of Silas, and he kind of, you know, he works with both of them and goes back and forth. And I really, really like him as a character. He's very, very poor. It talks about him and his sister. His sister works in a brothel, and about how he really cares for his sister, and it's really touching how he talks about her. Now he worries about her, and he is trying to make money to better his and her life. And he's just a lovely little character. I have a lot of sympathy for him. And it's just a really, I like the passages from his perspective of him kind of like running around Victorian London, but he is very poor, so you get to see the very poor nitty-gritty kind of side of that era. So the atmosphere in this is great. Like I said, Victorian London, if you're into that kind of era, then definitely try this book. It reminded me a little bit of Jessie Burton's character. It kind of like reminded me of The Miniaturist a little bit. So if you liked The Miniaturist, then try out this book. I will say this book is darker than The Miniaturist, and it does have some quite graphic, gruesome descriptions in this book, particularly towards the last quarter of the book. It does get quite dark, and obviously with the taxidermy, it does describe it in quite a lot of detail at times. So that's something to be wary of if you're a little bit squeamish and this book might not be for you. I looked this up on Goodreads and it has a lot of 5-star reviews. This is going to be a 5-star read for me for sure. I absolutely love it. I would love to read more by her. I like books set in that Victorian, had a kind of gothic eerie feel to it, and like I said, very disturbing. I saw people kind of describing this as like a gothic thriller, which I would agree with. It was more, I found it quite gripping. Now when I did look on Goodreads, some of the like lower rated, so like 2 to 3 stars, the most complaints I saw about this book was either it was gruesome or it was too slow. Now, I don't normally like slow books. I didn't find this slow. I found this book really hard to put down. I have several other books on the go at the minute, but all I wanted to read was this. I just wanted to finish this book and know what was going to happen. So I didn't find this slow. I found it very well written. But if you are looking for like a super fast paced modern thriller, then you might not like this. But if you like Victorian Gothic-y style books, then I would say give it a go, because you may enjoy this. It's not going to be for everyone. Like I said, the kind of gruesome descriptions won't be for everyone, but I loved it. I really loved this book. Like I said, my favourite I've read this year so far, and it's the end of the year pretty much. So yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. If you like gothic-y Victorian reads, like I said, like a gothic thriller. It's a bizarre combination, but it works. I found it very disturbing. I was kind of telling my sister about the storyline, and she wanted me to tell her. She didn't want to read it herself because she's not into that kind of stuff. She doesn't like gruesome things at all. So, but she wanted to know the story, so I ended up telling her what happened in the book, because she wanted to know what happened in the story but without reading it, because she's not into that kind of thing. But yeah, 5-star read for me. Highly enjoyed it. Definitely give it a go if you, like I said, like Jessie Burton's writing, or even like if you like, I've forgotten her name, she just brought out a new book. She wrote The Night Circus. So if you're a fan of The Night Circus, I think it's Erica Morgenstein, and she just brought out The Starless Sea, which I also want to purchase. But it gave me that kind of vibes, that kind of writing style along those lines. So yeah, very impressed. Really enjoyed this book. So would recommend if you're into Victorian literature. It is a little bit morbid. Like I said, it's not really for the faint-hearted. It does have quite graphic scenes in it. Obviously it is an obsession story, and like I said, the character of Silas does get more and more depraved as the book goes on. The ending I liked. It felt tiny bit rushed compared to the rest of the book, and it left it a little bit open-ended, but I'm okay with it because I loved the rest of the book. I feel like if the rest of the book was a downer, then I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, the ending as much, but because overall this was just a great read for me, I don't mind so much. I would have liked like maybe 1 or 2 more chapters just explaining a bit more on what happened. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to do any spoilers. But yeah, definitely give it a go. It was a great read. So I'm going to stop rambling on because I have to go do some things. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching. If you have any comments on this, then please leave it down below. Or if you have any book recommendations that are around this kind of thing. Like, I'm slowly reading more and more stories set in Victorian London. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting more and more into it. It's kind of becoming my thing at the moment. So if you have any recommendations, then leave them down below. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye guys.